I'm Adam from Walk the Talk Legacy, and today we get to talk a very interesting topic as to why you are finding it harder to lose body fat each and every time you try to diet. This is also referred to as body fat overshooting, and unfortunately the majority of people, when they go throughout a diet phase, post-diet care is something that is not focused upon, but is actually the most important of all. And this board behind me will explain a few things in relation to what happens when we drop body fat, we're in a calorie restricted environment, and also more importantly, what happens to our metabolism. So let's get into it. First of all, let's please excuse the terrible handwriting, but what we've got here is I've drawn up a graph which will explain to you what actually happens throughout the dieting process. We've got in green here our body fat. We've got in orange, we've got calorie consumption. And in red, we've got our metabolism. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a time frame as to what happens when you first start dieting, and obviously the easy process that tends to happen, and what happens after a diet period and the calorie restrict, binge calorie restrict side of things. So what tends to happen when a person first ever diets, it's relatively easy. And what happens is over time, the calories are reduced, as you'll see in the orange here, the calories come down. And with the calories coming down, because this person hasn't dieted before, the body fat tends to respond really well. But what you've also got to understand as a survival mechanism for the body's metabolism. It's basically, think of it in as simple terms, just to keep the lights on and to run the body on a day-to-day basis, digestion, movement, body temperature, all these types of mechanisms within the body. It's basically how many calories it takes on a day for the body to run. Now, throughout the dieting period, the body becomes more efficient and it actually takes less calories for the body to run. And this is plain and simple a survival mechanism that's put in place from your body to keep you alive. Because plain and simple, if those calories come down and exercise remains the same and energy output remains the same, you're in big trouble. So the body is very, very smart at adapting to this scenario, hence why the metabolism starts to plummet rather quickly. Now, through this time, when someone gets down, and as you'll see in the green, someone's body fat gets down to their goal. What normally happens, they're at their goal, they're very, very happy, everyone's excited, and normally what happens, and this is also after a challenge or any type of dieting period, that there is a celebratory event on, or holidays occur, or something that is involved that tends to give you a huge calorie influx. It could be alcohol consumption, it could be a couple of nights out, it could be some big meals with family. And what happens, as you'll see in the orange, the calories skyrocket only for a short period of time. And when that happens, you've also got to understand, to keep the lights on, the body's metabolism, everything is running a lot slower than what it normally would efficiently. When your metabolism is low and you've been dieting for a long period of time, you've also got to understand that your body is primed for fat storage. So what happens with this huge calorie influx, where people go, oh, it's only just fluid, is what happens is the body's ability to store fat is tenfold. It's amplified massively. So through this huge calorie spike, what tends to happen is there's quite a rather large jump in body fat in a very, very, very short period of time. I've done it before myself, and I've seen it happen on many occasions. So you'll see in the green here, the body fat comes up quite considerably. Again, it's not back to the starting point, but it comes up quite considerably. What happens when people jump on the scales after a very short, might be a day or two, and see the kilos have gone up, what happens to their calories is, of course, they will calorie restrict once again and go back to low calories to try and diet this weight off. But the problem is because the body's metabolism and the amount of energy the body requires to run is a lot lower. Yes, the body fat will come down, but it won't come down as far this time, but you're still eating the same amount of calories as what you did when you first dieted. And what happens there is that, yes, you might go along, and it might be a few weeks of calorie restriction, and you're still on that same amount of low calories. The metabolism hasn't had a chance to adjust. It's still very low. And guess what again? There's an event on, there's a wedding, there's a weekend away, there's holidays. And this is a problem when you are on such low calories. Bang! Calories go up. There's a huge influx of calories. Metabolism is still low, and the body's ability to store fat is amplified and through the roof. So what happens? Body fat goes up. It goes up higher than last time. And then what happens here a couple of days later when you jump on the scales? Calorie restriction occurs. So we bring these calories right back down to where they originally were. But guess what? The body's ability to reduce body fat is somewhat minimized because our metabolism is still very, very slow. It hasn't had a chance to build back up again. So what happens? We get a slight drop in body fat. Again, you'll see the body fat side of things slowly creeping up as we go. Again, calories are low. We might go a few weeks or so with good eating, adhering to the program. It's getting tough. You throw in the towel for the weekend, bang, these calories are up again, another huge spike, and guess what happens with the body fat? Body fat comes up, higher than last time again. What do you do when you jump on the scales? Freak out, calorie restrict, back down to where you were when you first started dieting, but guess what? You can't get all the body fat off because your metabolism is so slow. It hasn't had a chance to recover. So what's happened over time here is due to these binges, you'll see the difference in body fat that's come on, but you're eating the same amount of calories. Take this into account, dieting phases, binging, calorie restriction, binging over a period of time. What happens is not only does your body fat come up, your body fat ends up coming up further or higher than when you actually first ever started dieting, but you're eating no calories. And this is the biggest issue that we face when people have had a long diet history. Unfortunately, they haven't had a chance to repair their metabolism. The body fat skyrocketed, their calories are still restricted, and they've got no room to move. So what is our only option when you are in this position? Your option is, you can't drop calories any lower because they are so far restricted. What you need to do is look at an alternative to basically repair the body's metabolism, to get you firing on all cylinders again. And this is a process or a method which is also referred to as what's called reverse dieting. And this is basically a process where we can slowly bring these calories up over time. And over time, what happens is the body's metabolism tends to increase slowly. If this is done in a controlled manner and over time, the body's body fat side of things will not sharply rise like it did once before. And this has happened on several occasions to people that we're dealing with who've had an extensive diet history as far as calorie restrict, binge. And the best way to get them back into a position where they're ready to start dieting again is to begin the reverse dieting process. And the reverse dieting process will minimize the amount of body fat that comes on, but more importantly, it gives you a chance to repair the metabolism so you're running like a V8 supercar again. As you can see, if you had the body fat down through here and started the reverse dieting process, you'll probably find that the body fat side of things would be somewhat quite considerably lower than what it ever was before here. You might only put on a very minimal amount, and some people, if in other instances when the reverse dieting process happens or calories start to go back up again, they end up losing weight because the metabolism starts to speed up and increase, and your body's efficiency to burn calories increases. So when a dieting process finishes, our aim is to repair the metabolism and get it back up and cranking at full capacity again. The best way to do this is in a controlled manner after a dieting period to slowly begin to add calories back into one's food plan over a slower and longer period of time, because what tends to happen there is there's very minimal body fat gain. We can repair the metabolism and get the body running on all cylinders once again, and you are much less likely to have any sort of body fat regain in the process. So basically, in summary, post diet care, or what happens after the dieting period or calorie restricted period happens, is by far the most important and crucial element to a dieting period. Otherwise, you will expose yourself to not only body fat regain, but you will also have the potential to put on more weight than when you first started. But not only that, a metabolism that is very poorly functioning and making it physically impossible to shift body weight. So understanding once this dieting period ends, we need to slowly bring calories back up in a controlled manner, which minimizes any body fat regain, but more importantly, helps you repair the metabolism. So there you have it. There's a bit of an explanation in relation to why it gets harder over time to diet the weight off. And obviously this is due to our body's adaptive responses to being in a calorie restricted diet. It's not the end of the world. Again, it used to be called metabolic damage, but basically, whereas damage is referred to something that is irreversible, which it's not at all. The problem is that people are impatient. They're always looking for the next quick fix. And in the end of the day, if you are patient, you help build the metabolism up over time, you can set yourself up properly to be back in a position of dieting or calorie restriction once again, which then you can make sure after the next dieting period, you can safely begin the reverse dieting process or bring calories up over time. If this is something that you can relate to in relation to what is going on with your body right now, it's something that we are helping coach or diet coach many people with. So feel free to reach out to us. There's all the contact details below, and we will love to hear from you and help coach you through the process to build your metabolism and get you in a healthy state where your body is now again in an environment where it can begin to reduce body fat much more effectively, but I think having the main goal of keeping the weight off for good.